Today we're going to talk about the Onyx Boox Note.
Yes, finally, it's actually here.
So,
we
just reviewed this bad boy today.
5 minutes ago, literally. Yeah.
10.3 inches, quad core,
Yeah.
2 gigs of RAM, a crazy huge battery, tremendous resolution.
Yeah.
I mean, might be the best e-reader we've ever seen.
Stereo speakers, lightweight,
Bluetooth.
Now it's not a flush screen and bezel, but it's really, really, really almost there. It's about a millimeter sunken in. So
yeah.
Oh, and USB-C. When we cracked this open, you'll see in our unboxing video, and we saw USB-C, we were just like, hold the phone, legit, because this is the first e-reader we have ever. Oh, where's my phone? I actually don't know where my phone is.
I am holding my phone.
No, I know. I was going to hold it too.
I'm listening to you.
This is, literally the first e-reader we've ever had in our studio with USB-C. And with USB-C, it brings along better charging capabilities, better screen exporting. But of course, this can't do that. But one thing it may be able to do, but we literally just finished our review, so we didn't test this yet. This does have a sound card on board because it has Bluetooth and speakers. It may work with USB-C headphones. I don't know, though, because it possibly could.
Do they even make USB-C?
They make USB-C headphones, yeah.
Really?
Yes, they do. Yeah, so a lot of people are getting rid of 3.5mm headphones.
Yeah, I mean, I hooked up my Beats to this and it worked fine.
Yeah.
And obviously, if it does that, it'll do wireless speakers fine. You know, I mean, you can buy them off of like Amazon for like $20, and they're not bad.
Yeah. Actually, one thing I would mention that would make this absolutely perfect, a glow light.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've seen 9.7 inches, 10 inches that have glow lights, so it's up there, you know.
Yeah, I mean, just from, you know, obviously you all know that we have been producing our own devices for a number of years now.
Right.
And from what I learned about like the upstream supply chain and manufacturing and stuff like that is glow lights are possible. It's just you need a lot of them, and it increases the cost of the unit exponentially. It adds another like $60 to if you're not ordering $1 million or $2 million worth of e-readers, which Onyx obviously is not doing. So, you know, everyone's a victim of supply chain constraints. Amazon's really the only company that could really like have the capital to invest to put a glow light on a huge large screen device. Almost all large screen devices don't really have glow lights.
And why I mentioned that a second ago is because the Icarus Illumina XL HD was a 9.7 and it was a glow light. Yeah. So that's why I'm saying this isn't that far off.
It's true.
You know, it's a ½ an inch bigger, and man, you can do it. They could do it if they want to, but like Mike said, it makes things more complicated, and you need to think about where you're physically going to put them. If you put them in there, you're going to have to either make the body bigger or spread some things out or relocate things. So that is the issue with that. Also looking at this, something that I noticed because I do a lot of technical things sometimes, like I do screen replacements on my Sony Xperias and stuff. This has 2 screw holes for Torx screws. Yeah. Little 8-sided screwdrivers, and I don't think I've ever seen that on an e-reader either. Screws to actually remove and then be able to disassemble this thing effectively. Yeah. This is the Chinese version. It isn't FCC'd, so I'm wondering if that's something that they do over there for consumer level products, but pretty much everything else has been FCC'd that we've had, and I've never seen that. So. Yeah, so one thing that Onyx has done in like the last 3 or 4 months is introduce pressure sensitivity, but only in their dedicated note-taking app. Not
if
on
you're,
the PDFs.
Yeah. So if you're editing PDFs, you don't have pressure sensitivity.
Right.
But if you're just taking notes, you got it, and that just makes it a little bit more intuitive. In the past, you had to click on extra buttons to increase the thickness of and stuff of the pen, which isn't that bad. I mean, if this is like the only device you've ever had, and you've never had devices with pressure sensitivity before, you don't know what you're missing. Yeah. Whereas we've reviewed every single digital note-taking device on the market, every generation of the Sony, every generation of like other devices on the market. And so Onyx embracing pressure sensitivity is good. The only drawback is the erase function.
Oh my god, man.
They still haven't made that easy. Like a lot of devices, you just go you delete.
Right.
With Onyx, it's like
I don't understand. Like they pretty much every other device, if you draw on it like that, you can erase on the fly. And what that means is if you strike out the center, you'll see an erase line there. But you can't do that on this. You can't even swipe with the eraser function on it and have it do it every time. It deletes the entire thing you've written. Like, it's all gone.
Now, and a counterpoint, one of the drawbacks of the Max 2, which was the 13.3, and it was more expensive than this, is when you started erasing things, you started noticing residual ghosting on the things that you erased. You would notice like a ghosted version of the line you erased. Right. You don't have that problem on here. No, you don't.
No, this is definitely, and we saw on the reading experience, if you remove the page refresh every X amount of turns and you just read through a whole book, I didn't see anything add up significantly to really get in the way of my reading.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's very solid.
Yeah, I mean, so the text-to-speech engine on this leaves something to be desired for. It's very robotic.
It's super robotic,
So you want to probably listen to professionally narrated audiobooks. In our review video, we did Audible, but I mean, there's tons of free things like, I mean,
we showed both. We showed the TTS on the stock experience. Is pretty terrible. It was and then we showed Audible, and it really takes advantage of the twin speakers on this thing. You do get 2 separate speakers. It's not a fake grill. It is a real speaker.
Yeah.
So that's really cool how they actually packed that into there as well. I was very pleasantly surprised when we flipped this over and we're like, speakers. So yeah, that was cool too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really enamored with this.
Good too. And it's not $1,000.
Yeah, it's like it's $5.99.
Yes.
Which is like comparable to Remarkable.
Yeah.
It's more expensive than it's less expensive than the Sony, which is larger than this.
Yeah.
But I mean, 10.3 inches I find is the sweet spot. 13.3s, I mean, if you notice, like
the Max
2, the Max 2, this is the box for it, and the e-reader is this size.
Yeah.
So if you look at that combined with this, you notice like how small this actually is, which makes it pocket friendly. It makes it easier to hold, like, in your hands.
You said that, like...
Well, I mean...
metaphorically.
I know. Like, to put in your purse, to put in your messenger bag, to put in your briefcase.
Not your pants pocket, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's not with, like, a Kindle.
Yeah.
It weighs less than 355 grams, and...
that's weirdly specific. You know what I mean? You'd say 300... You'd say, like, less than 400 grams, but they probably mean that it weighs exactly 354.
Yeah.
By that, why would they say that exactly?
Yeah.
We do have a scale. We can measure it.
We do. It's in terms of millimeters. It's 249 by 177. Yeah, 8 times 6 millimeters, whatever that means.
Well, 8 by 6.
8 by 6.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I mean, it's a slim profile, and that's
good,
that impressed me by this. It's light. So. Should you buy this if you're in the market for a digital note-taking device?
I would
say yes.
I would do. I have no specific personal loyalties to Onyx or Remarkable, but I would say pound for pound, it's better than the Remarkable.
Well,
it has Android.
Android 6.0.
You can sideload anything you want. The pen, granted, the Remarkable pen was really cool. It's a double-edged sword because the Remarkable pen's nib was like graphite, so it felt exactly like a pencil.
And you could throw in other things. You could throw in a pencil one, too.
That's right. And I like that, but the graphite one wore out so fast.
It did.
And it's like, it's not worth the realistic feel because I don't care that much about it. And I always go back to this can run Android. This has a fantastically robust note-taking experience with the stylus, but it also runs Android,
and it has Google Play. So
6.0 bundled.
Exactly.
Boom.
So you can install Evernote, you can install OneNote, you can install any of your favorite third-party things. You won't get the pressure sensitivity in those notes,
right?
But you will be able to take notes with them. It has Google Play frameworks, so like Google Keep, Gmail, all that sort of stuff would work with it. But yeah, 6.0 opens up a lot more flexibility in terms of the types of apps that we'll be able to run on this. Yeah, I mean, I would recommend it. I mean, it's $5.99 US. It's shipping out now. You can order it from the Goodereader store. Link to here to it will be in the description of this video. So if you like what you saw for our unboxing and review, and you know, heard us gush about this really during the roundtable, I mean,
solid.
It's probably the best 10.3 available right now in terms of for pound per pound, spec by spec, and not locking you into a walled garden.
I think Mike mentioned it, or even I think we even said it before we were filming. I can't think of a whole lot of things negative about it.
Yeah,
I can think of things it's missing, but like Mike said, it adds up in the manufacturing costs and all that. But as it is on our table, I don't have anything bad to say about it.
But I mean, Onyx has been in the game a really long time. You know, they're like one of those Chinese brands that have been marketing their devices, not just in China, but in Europe. And they've been making a greater push in North America, selling things on Amazon, getting distributors, you know, working out partnerships, which is why we sell in our store, because, you know, they're looking to expand partnerships to get this Onyx brand out there, because their e-readers cumulatively over the years have gotten more refined, more stable, better specs, more indicative of Android. I remember a roundtable that we did last year where we're talking about, is there a future in Android driven e-readers? And we were like, well, you know, all the e-readers are like Android 4.04 or 4.42.
Bundle it
exactly, single core processor, 512 MB of RAM, and this is a good example of once you pack in enough specs, like hardware specs, on Android, suddenly an Android e-reader becomes like more viable. And this has been
very true.
And this has been the only Android e-reader that has a quad core processor. We've seen dual cores, and it's a step in the right direction, but it's not like night and day between like a Freescale 1 gigahertz processor versus an IMX7 dual core processor that the new Kindle Oasis 2 has. It's a step in the right direction, but you would never really kind of know unless you were told about it.
That's exactly
This is like night and day. Quad core versus like a single core. I don't think that I could ever look at a single core processor the same way again.
Or use one, never mind. Quad core, 2 gigs of RAM and 32 gigs in hard memory on the device means that once you have all your Google Play framework and your Android stuff, that you don't lose all those gigabytes and have nothing left. You have a lot left. And exactly, this is an example of it working, and working well. Yeah, it does even renew our faith in Android e-readers. We went through a whole bunch in the past year that were just like 800 megahertz. It was just crap. And now you get something that actually works, and we're like, dude, I can sideload anything I want. I can kind of watch videos.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know. It really does kind of give you that faith that Android on e-readers can be a thing and can be done well.
If I had to point out 3 flaws about this device, screen's not completely flush with the bezel, so it does have a small indentation. It's kind of 2015-ish. There's no SD card. All the other modern day Onyx e-readers have an HDMI. This doesn't have HDMI, and no front light. So if I had to pick, you know, flaws out of the air, those would be it. I mean, a lot, but at the same counterpoint, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Kobo totally stepped away from SD cards completely. It's true. So the e-reader industry has sort of stepped away from SD cards, and this is why the Kindle Oasis 2, for example, is 32 gigs of memory as an optional option. And you can get 8 gigs or 32.
Kobo did that as well.
Exactly. So they did that with the limited edition Kobo Aura 1. You could get the 32 gigs of space because they recognize that some people are loading in like 500 meg PDF files, and if you load in 4 of those on a 4 gig thing, you're running out of space already.
Done.
Whereas with 32 gigs of this, notes don't take that much space. Ebook, standard ebook is between like 50K and like 200K. So I mean, you could legit put
it's not that's
70,000 books on here, and you're not full.
You wouldn't be able to read them all. No, it'd be impossible to read them all.
Okay, so you've heard our thoughts. Let's hear your thoughts. You've seen our unboxing. You've seen our review video. You've heard me and Peter kind of do our little tete-a-tete here. We want to know what you think about the Onyx Book Note. Would you buy this device? Do you agree with the things that we mentioned about it? Do you think that we've omitted anything and didn't really say anything about something specific that you want to know more about? Drop a comment below if you have ideas for future videos regarding the Max, the Note here. Let us know. We'd like to hear your thoughts. And for Goodereader.com, my name is Michael.
My name is Peter, and before we sign off, 337 grams without the stylus.
All right. Everybody take care.